Boss mocks by giving weak horse to young man, but ends up crying at what he sees. Colonel Benjamin Harris watched with satisfaction as his workers received their horses for the week's work. At Holy Hope Ranch in rural Texas, this ritual had taken place every Monday for over 30 years. When it was the turn of young Tyler Mitchell, just 19 years old, the colonel pointed to a skinny, lame horse that was separated from the others. "That one's yours, boy. Perfect for someone of your level," said the colonel, provoking laughter among the other workers. Tyler felt his face burn with shame, but kept his head held high. He knew that animal well, a grey horse everyone called Thunder, though there was nothing imposing about him anymore. The creature limped on his left front leg, and his ribs showed through his dull coat. "Thank you, Mr. Benjamin," Tyler replied simply, approaching the animal. The other workers continued laughing and making nasty comments, but Tyler no longer heard anything. His eyes were fixed on the horse, studying every detail. There was something in the animal's eyes that touched him deeply, a sadness he recognized in himself. Colonel Benjamin felt an inexplicable irritation every time he looked at that young man. Perhaps it was the dignity with which Tyler endured the humiliations, or the way he worked quietly, without ever complaining. The boy reminded him of someone, but he preferred not to think about it. "The rest of you, you know what to do. Let's get going. The day is starting," shouted the colonel, ending the distribution. Tyler led Thunder to a more secluded corner of the yard and began to examine the animal carefully. His gentle hands touched the injured leg, and surprisingly, the horse didn't resist. It was as if he knew those hands didn't mean to hurt him. "What's going on with you there, buddy?" murmured Tyler, kneeling to examine the hoof better. He found a large stone wedged in the horseshoe, causing all that pain. Besides, the animal was clearly malnourished. Tyler felt a dull anger growing in his chest, not for the humiliation he had suffered, but for the neglect with which they treated that creature. Across the yard, Sarah Harris, the colonel's eldest daughter, watched the scene. At 42, she had the same penetrating eyes as her father, but a much more sensitive heart. She worked as a teacher at the local school and had always defended the ranch workers against her father's excesses. "Dad, that was too cruel," she said, approaching the colonel. "The boy needs to learn his place," Benjamin replied without taking his eyes off Tyler. "Learn what? He works harder than anyone here. Why do you do this to him?" The colonel didn't answer, but Sarah noticed something strange in her father's gaze. An old pain that he had carried for years and that she had never fully understood. Tyler spent the rest of the morning caring for Thunder before even starting his tasks. He patiently removed the stone from the hoof and cleaned the wound with clean water he brought from the well. The horse seemed to understand he was being helped and remained still, just watching the young man with his intelligent eyes. "You were a fine animal once, weren't you?" asked Tyler, stroking the horse's neck. "Someone loved you very much, I can tell." The words came out naturally, as if he were talking to an old friend. Tyler had always had this special connection with animals, a gift he inherited from his maternal grandfather, Mr. William, who had died when he was 12. During lunch, while the other workers rested in the shade of the shed, Tyler stayed with Thunder. He shared his own food with the animal, offering him some fruit he had brought from home. "Tyler Mitchell, are you going to stay there all day petting that animal?" shouted Joe Charles, one of the oldest foremen on the ranch. "I'm coming, Mr. Joe," replied Tyler, giving one last pat to the horse's neck. But before walking away, he whispered in the animal's ear, "Tomorrow I'll bring something better for you, okay?" The afternoon passed slowly, with Tyler carrying out his usual tasks, maintaining the fences. But his thoughts remained with Thunder. There was something in that animal's past that intrigued him, a story he felt he needed to uncover. When the sun began to set, Tyler headed back to the place where he had left Thunder. To his surprise, he found Mrs. Grace, the colonel's wife, watching the horse with a thoughtful expression. "Good evening, Mrs. Grace," he greeted respectfully. "Good evening, Tyler. I came to see how Thunder was doing. It's been a long time since anyone paid attention to this poor thing." Mrs. Grace Harris was a 63-year-old lady, her graying hair always tied in an elegant bun, and delicate hands that revealed a life less harsh than her husband's. She had observed all day the young man's dedication to the neglected animal. "Do you know his story?" asked Tyler, curious. Grace hesitated for a moment, as if wrestling with a painful memory. Thunder was my son Jacob's favorite horse, my youngest, who left here 5 years ago. Left for where, Mrs. Grace? Far away, son. Very far away. He had a terrible fight with his father and said he'd never come back. Benjamin was very shaken, but never admitted it. Since then, Thunder has been abandoned in the pasture. Tyler felt his chest tighten. Now he understood the sadness in the animal's eyes, and perhaps even the Colonel's unexplained irritation at his presence. He didn't know why, but he felt there was something deeper to that story. Did Mr. Jacob like him a lot? He liked him too much, too. He spent hours caring for him, talking. Mrs. Grace's voice choked up. Jacob always said he wanted to turn this ranch into a place where animals were treated with love. He had a beautiful dream, you know. And why did they fight? Grace looked around, making sure they were alone. Jacob questioned some of his father's methods. He thought Benjamin was too harsh with the workers and careless with some animals. The argument escalated and, well, you know my husband's temper. Tyler nodded. He knew well the explosive temperament of Colonel Benjamin. May I ask something, Mrs. Grace? Why does the Colonel seem to have it in for me specifically? The woman looked at the young man with maternal affection. You remind me a lot of Jacob when he was your age, son. The same caring way with animals, the same good stubbornness, the same dignity. Maybe that's why Benjamin... She didn't finish the sentence, but Tyler understood. The Colonel saw in him the son he had lost, and that stirred up a pain he didn't know how to handle. Can I take care of Thunder after work? I promise it won't interfere with my job. Of course you can, son. Maybe that's exactly what he needs. That night, Tyler returned home with a heavy heart but also full of determination. He lived with his mother, Mrs. Linda, in a simple little house in the workers' village. He was an only child, and his father had died in a ranch accident when he was 15. How was your day, my son? Asked Mrs. Linda, serving a simple but lovingly prepared dinner. I gained a new companion, Mum. A somewhat abandoned horse. You and these animals, just like your grandfather William. He used to say that animals feel everything we feel, they just don't know how to speak. Tyler smiled, remembering his grandfather. It was he who had taught him everything about caring for horses, using old methods passed down through generations in the family. Home remedies made with field herbs, massage techniques to relieve pain, secrets that few knew. Mom, what do you think about me using some of Grandpa William's recipes? I think that would be a good way to honor his memory, son. The next morning, Tyler arrived earlier at the ranch. He carried with him a bag with some ingredients he had set aside the night before, wild honey, chamomile extract that his mother prepared, and some herbs he had gathered along the way. Thunder greeted him with a low whinny, as if already recognizing his presence. Tyler smiled and began preparing a nutritious mixture that his grandfather used to make for weakened horses. Let's see if this helps you regain your strength, buddy. While Thunder ate the mixture eagerly, Tyler gently massaged the injured hoof, applying a homemade ointment made with propolis and copaiba oil. The horse relaxed completely under his experienced hands. The other employees began to arrive and some stopped to watch. Wow, Tyler. What did you do to this animal? Asked John, one of the oldest cowboys. I'm just taking proper care of him, Mr. John. It's been a while since anyone has seen Thunder like this. Calm. He was getting kind of wild. Abandoned animals get like that, commented another employee. They lose trust in us. Colonel Benjamin arrived shortly after and observed the scene from afar. He said nothing, but Tyler noticed he was being watched. Throughout the morning he felt the boss's eyes on him, as if he were being tested. At lunchtime, Sarah Harris approached Tyler. Can I talk with you for a moment? Of course, Mrs. Sarah. They moved away from the other employees, walking toward a leafy tree that provided good shade. Tyler, I want you to know that I don't agree with what my father did yesterday. Don't worry about it, Mrs. Sarah. I'm used to it already. But you shouldn't be. And I also want you to know that I've been watching the care you've been giving Thunder. It's very beautiful to see. Sarah hesitated for a moment before continuing. Can I tell you something? Thunder belonged to my younger brother, Jacob. When he left, Dad couldn't even look at the animal. He said he was going to sell him, but never had the courage. Mrs. Grace told me yesterday, I'm sorry for your family's situation. Jacob always said that animals have souls, that they deserve respect and affection. Seeing you take care of Thunder reminds me a lot of him. Do you have any news from your brother? None. Dad is too proud to look for him, and Jacob inherited the same stubbornness. But I have hope that one day they will understand each other. And you've never tried to get in touch? Sarah lowered her eyes. I tried a few times, but Jacob moved several times. The last letter I sent came back. I think he doesn't want to be found for now. Tyler felt a deep sadness for that family's situation. He knew well the pain of losing a loved one, but losing someone who was still alive must be even worse. If one day you manage to talk to him, you can tell him that Thunder is being well taken care of. Thank you, Tyler. That means a lot to me. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. In the afternoon, Tyler worked on maintaining the ranch's water pumps, but his thoughts remained with Thunder. There was something in the animal's expression that intrigued him, as if it held important secrets about the Harris family's past. When the workday ended, instead of going straight home, Tyler headed again to the place where he had left Thunder. To his surprise, he found Colonel Benjamin standing before the horse, observing him in silence. "Good afternoon, Mr. Benjamin," he greeted respectfully, unsure if he should approach. The colonel turned around and Tyler could see something different in his eyes, a vulnerability he had never noticed before. "You have a way with animals, boy." "I learned from my grandfather, sir." "Was your grandfather William Mitchell, the one who worked at Colonel Thomas's ranch?" "That's right. Did you know him?" "I did. He was a good man. Never saw anyone take care of horses like he did." Benjamin stayed silent for a few moments, as if fighting painful memories. "This horse, he was once very important to this family. Mrs. Grace told me. It belonged to your son, Jacob." The mention of his son provoked a visible reaction in the colonel. His shoulders tensed and his jaw tightened. Jacob was too stubborn, wanted to change everything at once without understanding how things work. "Sometimes the young see possibilities that the elders can't perceive," said Tyler carefully. "Are you giving me a lecture, boy?" "No, sir. Just saying that each generation has its own way of seeing the world." Benjamin studied Tyler's face for a long moment. "Why don't you complain? Any other worker would have left here after what happened yesterday." "Because I like it here, Mr. Benjamin, and because I know things can change." "Change how?" "When we treat others with respect, we get respect in return. That goes for people and animals too." The colonel fell quiet, watching Tyler work with Thunder. The young man applied the homemade ointment to the animal's hoof with infinite gentleness, whispering calming words. "Where did you learn these remedies?" "From my grandfather, William. He said nature has a cure for everything. You just have to know where to look." "And does it work?" Tyler smiled. "Look at Thunder's improvement since yesterday, Mr. Benjamin. The hoof is hardly swollen anymore." Benjamin observed more closely, and indeed noticed the difference. The horse was putting more weight on the hoof and seemed more alert. "Jacob used similar mixtures," he murmured almost to himself. "Maybe he learned from someone in the area. These old recipes get passed down from family to family." "Perhaps." The colonel remained there a few more minutes, watching silently. When he walked away, he said nothing more, but Tyler sensed something had changed in the air between them. That night, Mrs. Grace found her husband on the porch of the main house, looking toward the corrals. It was the first time in years she'd seen him in that position, thoughtful and melancholy. "What are you thinking about, Benjamin?" "About Jacob and the boy Tyler." "Why?" "Today I saw the boy taking care of Thunder. It was like seeing Jacob again." Grace approached and placed her hand on her husband's shoulder. "Do you miss him too?" "Every day, Grace. Every single day. But I'm too proud to admit I was wrong. There's still time to make things right. I don't know if he'd forgive me. I said some harsh things that day. Jacob loves you, Benjamin. He always has. The anger has passed, I'm sure." "And how will I find him? We don't even know where he is." Sarah has kept in touch with some of Jacob's friends. We can try. Benjamin sighed heavily. What if he doesn't want to come back? Then at least you will have tried. It's better than spending the rest of your life regretting. The next morning, Tyler arrived at the ranch and found Thunder noticeably better. The horse stood more upright with bright eyes and the hoof barely limped anymore. Good morning, partner. You're almost new. The horse whinnied softly and nudged its muzzle against Tyler's chest, showing affection. It was impressive progress in just 2 days of care. Other workers began approaching to see the animal's improvement. Boy, what miracle was this? Asked Thomas, one of the older cowboys. It wasn't a miracle, Mr. Thomas. Just care and my grandfather's remedies. This boy really has a good touch, commented another worker. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Edward, the veterinarian who had served the ranch for over 15 years. He was a middle-aged man with graying hair and gold-rimmed glasses, known throughout the region for his competence and seriousness. Good morning, everyone. I came to check on some animals the colonel said were having problems. Dr. Edward, you need to see this, said John, pointing to Thunder. What happened to Thunder? I hadn't seen him in a while. The boy Tyler here took care of him these past 2 days, and look how he is. The veterinarian approached and examined the horse with professional attention. He checked the injured hoof, observed the eyes, the coat, the animal's overall behavior. Impressive, he murmured to himself. Who performed this treatment? I did, doctor, replied Tyler timidly. Do you have veterinary training? No, sir. I learned from my grandfather. What kind of treatment did you use? Tyler explained in detail the procedures he had performed, the herbs used, how the ointment was applied, the special diet he had given the animal. Dr. Edward listened with growing attention, asking technical questions that Tyler answered with surprising knowledge. Young man, you have a very rare natural talent. Have you ever thought about studying veterinary medicine? I've dreamed of it, doctor, but I can't afford college. There are scholarship programs, student loans. A young man with your practical knowledge and dedication would have a great chance. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Colonel Benjamin, who was accompanied by Sarah. Dr. Edward, good to see you. Did you come to examine the horses? Yes, Colonel. But first I want to congratulate you. This young man who works here is a rare gem. How so? The treatment he applied to Thunder was exemplary, knowledge that many trained veterinarians don't have. The colonel looked at Tyler with an indescribable expression. Is that so? May I suggest something, Colonel? This young man should study veterinary medicine. With the practical knowledge he has and an academic education, he would be an exceptional professional. Sarah stepped forward before her father could answer. What a wonderful idea. Daddy, we could help Tyler with his studies. I don't need help, said Tyler quickly. I don't want to bother anyone. It wouldn't be a bother, insisted Sarah. It would be investing in talent. The colonel remained silent, watching the interaction between his daughter, the veterinarian, and the young employee. There was something in the scene that touched him deeply, a memory from other times trying to form in his mind. Dr. Edward, he said finally, could you examine the other horses? We'll talk later about other things. While the veterinarian headed to the corrals, Sarah stayed with Tyler and her father. Daddy, the doctor is right. Tyler has a special gift. I see that, daughter. Then why don't we help him develop that gift? Benjamin looked at Tyler, who continued to stroke Thunder. Boy, does your mother know about this dream of yours to be a veterinarian? Yes, sir, she does. But she also knows we can't afford it. And if an opportunity came up? How so, Mr. Benjamin? I'm asking if you would agree to study if someone helped with the costs. Tyler stopped stroking the horse and looked directly into the colonel's eyes. Why would you do that for me? The question caught Benjamin off guard. He didn't have a ready answer, just a deep intuition that the young man deserved a chance. Because talents like yours shouldn't be wasted. I would accept, sir, but on one condition. What is it? That it be a loan. When I graduate, I'll pay back every penny. Sarah smiled, moved by the young man's dignity. It doesn't have to be that way, Tyler. Yes, it does, Mrs. Sarah. My mother taught me never to accept charity, but an opportunity to work for what I dream of, that I accept. The colonel felt something stir in his chest, a mixture of admiration and recognition. That boy had solid principles, just like— "All right," he finally said. "Let's talk to Dr. Edward about the best courses in the area." Tyler felt his eyes fill with tears. "Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin. I promise you won't regret it. Just don't abandon Thunder while you study. I think you two have become inseparable." "I would never abandon him, sir." The rest of the day passed like a dream for Tyler. Dr. Edward gave him information about technical courses and universities, explained selection processes and scholarships. For a moment, the future that always seemed impossible became real. During lunch, the news spread among the staff. Everyone congratulated Tyler on the opportunity, but some also whispered about the colonel's sudden change of attitude. "I've never seen Colonel Benjamin do something like that," commented Joe Charles. "That's right. Ever since his youngest son left, the man has been very different," replied John. "They say the boy Tyler reminds them of Jacob," added another employee. "Could be. Jacob also had that way with animals." Tyler listened to the conversations in silence, increasingly intrigued by the Harris family's story. There were pieces of a puzzle he still couldn't quite put together. In the afternoon, while working on fence maintenance, Tyler was interrupted by Mrs. Grace. "Tyler, can I talk with you?" "Of course, Mrs. Grace. I heard about the conversation regarding your studies. I'm very happy for you." "Thank you, Mom. I still can't believe this is happening. I want you to know it was Benjamin's own idea. Sarah just supported it." "Really?" "Yes. And do you know why? Because you awakened something in my husband that had been dormant for years." "What do you mean?" Grace looked around to make sure they were alone. "Benjamin was always too proud to show his feelings. When Jacob left, he closed himself off even more. But seeing you take care of Thunder with such affection, I think he remembered his son." "Mrs. Grace, may I ask exactly why Mr. Jacob left?" "It was a silly argument that got out of hand. Jacob thought his father was too harsh with the employees and neglectful with some animals. He said that when he took over the ranch, things would be different." "And the colonel didn't like that?" "Benjamin took it as if his son was questioning everything he had built in his life. He said Jacob was ungrateful and too much of a dreamer. Jacob retorted that his father was insensitive and only thought about money. And then? Then Benjamin said that if Jacob didn't like his methods, he'd better find another place to live. Jacob took some clothes and left that same night." Tyler felt his heart tighten. "And they never spoke again?" "Never again. It's been 5 years now. Benjamin pretends he doesn't care, but I know he suffers every day. And I'm sure Jacob suffers too." "Have you tried to convince them to talk?" "Many times, but they're equally stubborn. Neither wants to give in." "What if someone from the outside tried to help?" Grace looked at Tyler with interest. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Maybe if I knew where Mr. Jacob is, I could try to talk to him." "That would be very risky, boy. If Benjamin found out— But if it worked, everyone would benefit." Grace hesitated for a long moment. "Sarah has the address of a friend of Jacob's. Maybe he knows where to find him. Do you think she would give me that information? I can talk to her, but it has to be an absolute secret. You can trust me, Mrs. Grace." That night, Tyler arrived home with his head buzzing with ideas and plans. He told his mother about the opportunity to study and about the Harris family's story. "My son, you're getting into a very delicate situation," warned Mrs. Linda. "I know, Mom, but I feel like I can help." "And what if it goes wrong? You could lose your job and on top of that the chance to study." "Mom, if I can bring this family together, it will be a good thing. And if I can't, at least I'll have tried." "You have too good a heart, Tyler. Just like your grandfather William. Didn't Grandpa used to say that we have to use the gifts God gave us to help others?" "He did, yes. And if that's how you feel, then do it. But be very careful." The next morning, Tyler arrived at the ranch determined to put his plan into action. First, he went to take care of Thunder, who was practically recovered by now. The horse greeted him with obvious joy, nudging its muzzle against his hand. "Good morning, partner. You look handsome today." Truly, Thunder's transformation was impressive. His coat had gained a shine, his eyes were alert, and his leg no longer limped. It was as if the animal had been reborn. "Tyler," called Sarah, approaching quickly. "Good morning, Mrs. Sarah. Mum told me about your conversation yesterday. About Jacob." "Oh, yes. I have the information you want. But I need you to understand one thing. This has to stay between us." "You can trust me, Mrs. Sarah." Sarah handed him a piece of paper with an address and a phone number. "It's from a friend of Jacob's who lives in Austin. His name is Frank. If Jacob is still in the city, he'll know where to find him." "Thank you very much." "Tyler, are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, I am. I think every family deserves a second chance." "Then may God bless you." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. All morning long, Tyler worked on fixing a fence, but his thoughts were focused on the plan taking shape. He needed to find a way to contact Jacob without arousing Colonel Benjamin's suspicions. At lunchtime, he took advantage of everyone being busy to go to the village and use the public phone near the school. With his hands trembling nervously, he dialed the number Sarah had given him. "Hello? Good afternoon. May I speak with Frank?" "Speaking. Who's this?" "My name is Tyler. I work at Holy Hope Ranch in Texas. I need to speak with Jacob Harris." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Jacob Harris? I don't know anyone by that name." "Please, sir, I know you're his friend. It's about his family. It's important." Another silence, longer this time. "What kind of important thing?" "His father wants to reconcile but doesn't know how, and there are other things happening here that I think he'd want to know about." "Hold on. You said you work at old Benjamin's ranch?" "That's right." "And did the old man send you to call?" "No, sir. He doesn't know anything. I'm doing this on my own." "Why do you care about this?" Tyler hesitated, trying to find the right words. "Because I work with the horse that belonged to Jacob. And seeing how much the animal suffered in his absence, I imagine how the whole family must be suffering." "Horse?" "Thunder. He was abandoned and sick. I'm taking care of him." There was another silence, then a heavy sigh. "Man, this is complicated. Jacob still holds a lot of resentment toward his father. But would he want to know about Thunder?" "Definitely. He always asks about the ranch animals when we talk." "So, can you give me his phone number? Or at least ask if he wants to talk to me." "I'll do this. I'll talk to him tonight and call you tomorrow. Can you give me a number?" Tyler gave the ranch's phone number and explained the times he could answer. "And remember, this has to be discreet. If Colonel Benjamin finds out—" "Understood. Thank you, Frank." Tyler returned to the ranch with his heart racing. He had taken the first step, but there was still a long road ahead. Throughout the afternoon, he worked with doubled attention, trying not to show his anxiety. Colonel Benjamin passed by the area where he was working a few times, watching him with that piercing gaze that had become usual. "Son," the colonel called out during one of these passes. "Yes, Mr. Benjamin?" "Dr. Edward gave me some information about courses. Would you like to talk about it after work?" "Of course, sir." "Then meet me at the main house at 6 o'clock. The rest of the afternoon passed slowly. Tyler was torn between the anxiety of a possible call from Jacob and the anticipation of the conversation about his studies. He was living through moments that could completely change his life. At 6 on the dot, Tyler knocked on the door of the main house. Mrs. Grace answered with a warm smile. "Hi, Tyler. Benjamin is waiting for you in the office." "Thank you, Mrs. Grace." The colonel's office was an imposing space, with shelves full of books, trophies from old rodeos, and family photographs from better times. In one of the photos, Tyler recognized Jacob, a young blond man with kind eyes riding Thunder. "Sit down, son," said the colonel, pointing to a chair in front of the solid mahogany desk. "Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I spoke with Dr. Edward and looked into some options for you. There's an excellent technical course in Austin, and afterward you can take the entrance exam for veterinary school." Tyler listened attentively as the colonel explained details about scholarships, costs, and course durations. It felt surreal to be there, discussing his future with the man he had still considered his tormentor that very morning. "There's one thing I want to make clear," the colonel said. interrupting his own explanations. "What's that, sir?" "I'm not doing this out of charity. I'm doing it because I believe in your potential. But it will require a lot of hard work and dedication from you. You can count on me, Mr. Benjamin. And there's something else. During your studies, I want you to continue taking care of the animals here on weekends, especially Thunder." "Of course, sir." The colonel fell silent for a moment, looking out the window toward the corrals. "That horse, he's special. Always has been. May I ask why, Mr. Benjamin?" Benjamin turned to Tyler, and for the first time since he'd known him, the young man saw a vulnerable expression in the man's eyes. "Because he represented the dreams of my youngest son. Jacob wanted to turn this ranch into a model of humane treatment for animals. And why would that be a bad thing? It wouldn't be bad. It was different from what I've always done. And when you're too proud, sometimes you interpret difference as criticism." Tyler felt that this was a unique opportunity to plant a seed. "Mr. Benjamin, may I say something?" "Go ahead. Dreams don't die. Sometimes they lie dormant, waiting for the right moment to be reborn." The colonel studied him carefully. "What do you mean by that?" "That perhaps you can fulfill Jacob's dreams even though he isn't here. And who knows, maybe that will make him want to come back one day." Benjamin remained silent for a long time, processing the young man's words. "You know something, son. You have a wisdom that doesn't match your age. I learned from my mother that sometimes the right words at the right time can change everything. Your mother is a wise woman." "Yes, sir." When Tyler left the main house, it was already getting dark. His head was full of plans and possibilities. His studies were a dream coming true, but his main mission was only just beginning. The next morning, Tyler arrived at the ranch early, anxious about the possible call from Frank. He took care of Thunder with his usual affection, telling the animal about the plans for the future. "Soon I'll be studying to become a real veterinarian, buddy. But don't worry, I'll never abandon you." The horse seemed to understand every word, responding with soft whinnies and nuzzles with its muzzle. Around 10 o'clock, the ranch administration phone rang. Tyler was working nearby and ran to answer it. "Holy Hope Ranch, good morning." "Tyler, it's Frank." The young man's heart raced. "Hi, Frank. Did you manage to speak with him?" "I did. Jacob wants to talk to you. He's very curious about Thunder and about things at the ranch." "Can he talk now?" "Yes, he can. I'll transfer the call." There were some noises on the line, and then a voice that Tyler immediately recognized from the family's descriptions. "Hello, Tyler? Jacob, it's me. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. Frank told me you're taking care of Thunder. How is he?" Jacob's voice trembled with emotion. "He's great. When I got here, he was thin and sick, but now he's beautiful. He's regained the shine in his coat, his strength, his joy." "That's good." Jacob sighed with relief. "I've always worried about him since I left." "Jacob, can I be direct with you?" "Of course." "Your family misses you a lot, especially your parents." There was silence on the other end. "Tyler, you don't understand the situation. My father and I had a really bad fight. He made it very clear he didn't want to see me anymore. But people change, Jacob, and the pain of missing someone sometimes teaches things that pride doesn't let you learn." "What do you mean?" "Your father is helping me study veterinary medicine. Do you know why? Because he saw in me the same passion for animals that he saw in you." "My father is doing that?" "I don't believe it." "It's true. And your mother told me that he suffers every day with your absence. He just doesn't know how to take the first step to reconcile." Jacob was quiet for a long time. "Tyler, even if that's true, I don't know if I could forgive some of the things he said. What if he apologized?" "My father doesn't apologize to anyone. Maybe because he never found the right reason to. How about you give him a chance to talk? Are you suggesting I come back?" "I'm suggesting you visit. It doesn't have to be forever, just to talk." Jacob took a deep breath. "I don't know, Tyler. It's too risky." "Jacob, can I tell you something? Thunder only got better when he started receiving love again. Maybe your family is the same. Do you really think it's worth trying?" "I do. And if it doesn't work out, at least you'll know you tried." I need to think about it. Of course, but Jacob, if you decide to come, you can count on me for whatever you need. Why are you doing this for a family that isn't even yours? Tyler thought about the question and answered from the heart. Because taking care of Thunder taught me that when someone is loved and suddenly gets abandoned, a part of them dies. But when love returns, they are reborn, even stronger. You talk like my grandfather used to talk. Then your grandfather was a wise man. Jacob laughed for the first time in the conversation. He really was. Okay, Tyler, I'll think about what you said. Can I call again in a few days? Of course. And Jacob, thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you for taking care of my Thunder. Tyler hung up the phone with a racing heart. The conversation had gone better than he expected, but he knew the hardest part was still to come. During the following days, Tyler split his time between the ranch's normal tasks and preparations to begin his studies. The colonel had arranged all the necessary documentation and even a place for him to live in Austin during class days. Thunder continued to improve day after day, and the bond between him and Tyler grew stronger. The horse seemed to understand that he was being prepared for something special, as if he knew that soon he would meet someone important. 1 week after the first conversation, Jacob called again. Tyler, I thought a lot about what we talked about. And have you reached any conclusion? I've decided you're right. I'll try for a reconciliation, but with one condition. What? I want you to be present when I talk to my father. You seem to have a gift for soothing hearts. But Jacob, that might complicate things. Your father doesn't know we've spoken. Then it's time to tell him. Are you sure? I am. If we're going to try to fix things, it has to be with total honesty. When do you plan to come? Next weekend. Can you prepare the ground by then? I can try. Then it's settled. And Tyler? Yes. Thank you for giving me the courage to try. After hanging up, Tyler stood still for a few minutes, trying to process the responsibility he had taken on. Now he needed to tell Colonel Benjamin everything and hope the reaction wouldn't be disastrous. He decided to seek out Mrs. Grace first, to ask for her help in the delicate mission of preparing her husband for the news. He found her in the garden of the main house, tending to her rose bushes. Mrs. Grace, I need to speak with you about something very important. What is it, son? You look worried. It's about Jacob. Grace dropped her pruning shears and turned completely to face him. Jacob, what about him? I managed to speak with him, and he decided to come back to try for a reconciliation with the colonel. How? When? How did you manage it? Tyler told the whole story, from contacting Frank to the conversation with Jacob. Mrs. Grace listened with tears in her eyes, alternating between joy and worry. My God, Tyler, that's wonderful. But how are we going to tell Benjamin? I thought you might help me. I don't know how he'll react to finding out I took this initiative on my own. He might be angry at first, but when he learns Jacob is coming back, do you think he'll be happy? I'm sure, son. Benjamin dreams of this day, he just didn't have the courage to take the first step. So, when would be a good time to tell him? Tonight, after dinner. I'll prepare the ground during the day. What if he gets really angry with me? Grace held Tyler's hands with maternal kindness. Tyler, you've done a beautiful thing. Even if he doesn't show it right away, deep down he'll be forever grateful. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The rest of the day passed in a mix of anxiety and expectation. Tyler tried to focus on work, but his thoughts constantly flew to the conversation he would have with the colonel. Around 7 in the evening, Mrs. Grace appeared where he was taking care of Thunder. Tyler, the time has come. Benjamin is in the office, and I've already spoken with him about a few things. How is he? Thoughtful. Be prepared for any reaction. Tyler took a deep breath and headed to the main house. Mrs. Sarah was in the living room and gave him an encouraging smile. Courage, Tyler. Dad needs to know. In the office, Colonel Benjamin was sitting behind the desk, with a serious but not hostile expression. Sit down, son. Grace told me you have something important to tell me. Yes, Mr. Benjamin, it's about Jacob. Jacob, what about him? I managed to get in touch with him. The colonel straightened up in his chair, alert. What do you mean you managed to get in touch? I asked Mrs. Sarah for help to get the phone number of a friend of his, and then I called. You did that without consulting me? Yes, sir, I did, and I know it was a bold move. Why did you do it? Tyler chose his words carefully. Because seeing Thunder suffering from his owner's absence, I imagined how you must be suffering from your son's absence. The colonel fell silent, processing the information. And did he speak of me? Yes, he did. And he's willing to come back for a conversation. A conversation? To try and understand each other. He misses the family too. When does he plan to come? Next weekend, if you'll allow it. Benjamin stood up and walked to the window, looking toward the corrals where Thunder was grazing. Tyler, do you understand the gravity of what you did? I do, sir. If you want to fire me, I understand. Fire you? The colonel turned with a surprised expression. Son, you just gave me the most important news in the last 5 years. You're not angry. I'm impressed by your courage and grateful. Very grateful. Tyler felt immense relief. So you want him to come? Yes, I do. I've been gathering courage to look for him for a long time, but pride always spoke louder. Jacob asked for one thing. What? That I be present during your conversation. Why? He thinks I can help mediate the conversation if necessary. The colonel studied Tyler for a long moment. Do you accept this responsibility? I do, sir. As long as you trust me. I do. And do you know why? Because you managed to do in 1 week what I couldn't in 5 years. Build a bridge between me and my son. That night, the main house had a different atmosphere. Mrs. Grace could hardly contain her joy. Sarah was crying with emotion, and even the colonel, despite trying to maintain his composure, showed positive anxiety. Benjamin, said Grace during dinner, we have to prepare Jacob's room. No, Grace, I don't want to set high expectations. If he wants to stay, great. If he just wants to talk and leave, that's fine too. But at least a special lunch. You can prepare it, yes, but without exaggerations. Sarah turned to Tyler. How was he? In his voice, I mean. Emotional. I think he misses you all as much as you miss him. And did he ask about anything specific? He asked a lot about Thunder. You could tell the love he feels for the animal. The colonel smiled for the first time in the entire conversation. Those two were inseparable. Jacob spent more time in the corral than inside the house. Just like you when you were young, commented Mrs. Grace. And it's true. I think that's why we always got along so poorly. We're too much alike. Maybe that's exactly why you'll be able to understand each other now, said Tyler. You think so? I do, yes. Two people who love the same thing always find a common ground. The days that followed passed in an atmosphere of growing anticipation. Tyler continued caring for Thunder with redoubled attention, preparing the animal for the reunion with his former owner. On Thursday, Jacob called to confirm his arrival. Tyler, I'll arrive Saturday morning. I'm nervous. It's normal, Jacob. Your father is too. Did he say anything specific about my return? He said he's been gathering courage to look for you for a long time, but pride always spoke louder. That sounds like the old man himself. Jacob, can I give you some advice? Of course. When you get here, before any conversation, go see Thunder. He'll be the bridge between you. Good idea. How is he? Beautiful, strong, full of life. Like a family about to reunite. On Saturday morning, Tyler arrived early at the ranch. He cared for Thunder with special affection, brushing him until his coat shone. The horse seemed to sense that something important was about to happen. Today's the day, buddy. Your owner is coming back. Around 10 o'clock, a familiar car came through the ranch gate. It was Sarah, who had gone to pick up Jacob at the city bus station. Tyler felt his heart race when he saw a young blonde man get out of the car. He looked exactly like in the old photos, just a bit more mature, with stubble and simple travel clothes. Jacob looked around with a mixture of nostalgia and emotion. He was home after 5 years. Sarah hugged him tightly. Welcome back, brother. Thank you, Sarah. Where are Dad and Mom? They're in the main house, as nervous as you are. Jacob then noticed Tyler, who was approaching timidly. You must be Tyler. Yes, I am. Nice to meet you, Jacob. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for everything you've done. Do you want to see Thunder before anything else? Jacob's eyes lit up. I really do. They walked together to where Thunder was grazing. When the horse saw Jacob, his reaction was immediate and emotional. He bolted toward his owner, neighing loudly as if singing with joy. Thunder, my boy. Jacob ran to meet the animal. The reunion was touching to see. Thunder nudged his muzzle against Jacob's chest, who hugged and kissed him, tears streaming down his face. How beautiful he looks, Tyler. Thank you for taking such good care of him. It was a pleasure. He's a special animal. Yes, he is. He always has been. The scene was observed from afar by the entire Harris family. Colonel Benjamin was on the porch of the main house, and even from a distance, Tyler could see that his eyes were also moist. I think it's time for the talk, Sarah said softly. Jacob took a deep breath. Are you coming with us, Tyler? If you'd like. We would. They walked slowly toward the main house. With each step, Jacob seemed to recall memories of the childhood and youth he had lived there. It was a return not only physical, but emotional. On the porch, Mrs. Grace waited with a smile mixed with tears. When Jacob came close, she ran and hugged him, as only a mother knows how to hug a beloved son. My son, how I've missed you. I've missed you too, Mom, very much. Finally, Jacob turned to his father. Colonel Benjamin stood still, solemn, but with an obvious emotion struggling to break free. Jacob. Dad. For a moment that seemed eternal. Father and son observed each other. 5 years of separation, wounded pride, harsh words exchanged, all of it hung in the air between them. It was then that Tyler remembered the advice he had given Jacob. Jacob, why don't you tell your father about Thunder's improvement? Jacob understood the suggestion and smiled. Dad, you need to see how Thunder is doing. Tyler did an amazing job. I saw, said Benjamin, his voice choked. I saw from the porch. And I also saw how happy you were to see him again. I always dreamed of coming back to get him, Dad. But we were both too stubborn to give in. Jacob nodded. That's right. The colonel took a few steps toward his son. Jacob, I need to ask for your forgiveness. Dad. For some things I said that day. I was angry, but I had no right to take it out on you. Jacob felt the tears return. I also said things I shouldn't have, Dad. So we're even. We're even. And finally, what everyone had been waiting for happened. Father and son embraced. A tight hug, full of longing, forgiveness, and love. Mrs. Grace and Sarah cried openly. Tyler smiled, moved to have been an instrument of that reunion. Now come, said Mrs. Grace. I prepared the lunch that Jacob liked the most. Mom's chicken stew? Asked Jacob, smiling. With stuffing and everything. During lunch, Jacob talked about his life in Austin, where he worked at a veterinary clinic and was finishing his veterinary degree. Veterinary? Asked the colonel, surprised. Yes, Dad. Remember my dream of taking better care of animals? I never gave up on it. And I was thinking, Jacob looked at Tyler, that we could turn the ranch into a reference for animal welfare. How so? A place where animals are treated with modern techniques, but also with the traditional care that Tyler showed with Thunder. The colonel became thoughtful. Are you suggesting a partnership between the three of us? I am. With your experience, my technical knowledge, and Tyler's natural gift. But Tyler is also studying veterinary medicine. Even better, when he graduates, we'll have a complete team. Tyler listened as if in a dream. Are you serious? We are, said Jacob. How about turning Holy Hope Ranch into a model farm? But I still have so much to learn. We all do, said the colonel. But together we can do something special. The afternoon flew by, with plans being made, dreams shared, and family bonds rekindled. Jacob decided to stay a few days to discuss the project in more detail. As the sun began to set, he asked to spend some time alone with Thunder. Tyler accompanied him to the corrals. Tyler, I don't know how to thank you for what you've done. No need to thank me. It just makes me happy to see everyone happy. Do you know you've changed our lives forever? I only helped you find what you'd never truly lost. Family love. Jacob smiled and stroked Thunder. You know what amazes me the most? How you managed to see beyond appearances. Everyone thought Thunder was just a weak, sick horse, but he was never weak, just sad and abandoned, like your family. And you managed to heal both. No, Jacob. It was love that healed them. I just helped pave the way. That night, the big house had the first complete Harris family dinner in 5 years. The table was abundant, not just with food, but with joy, plans, and hope. Benjamin, said Mrs. Grace, do you know what makes me happiest? What, dear? Seeing that our Jacob hasn't changed, he still has the same good heart as always. And do you know why I didn't change, Mom? Asked Jacob. Because I carried you all in my heart. The longing hurt, but the love never diminished, not even a little. Just like Thunder, commented Tyler. No matter how abandoned he seemed, the love was there, waiting for a chance to bloom again. The Colonel raised his glass. I'd like to make a toast to Tyler, who taught us that there are no lost people, only people waiting for a chance, and to second chances, which are sometimes even better than the first. Everyone raised their glasses, and Tyler felt an indescribable emotion. He had started this journey just wanting to help a sick horse, and ended up reuniting an entire family. Now, said Jacob, I want to hear all the plans for our partnership. Partnership? Asked the Colonel. Of course, Dad. Tyler is going to be our partner. Without him, none of this would have happened. But I don't have money to join a partnership, protested Tyler. Who said partnership is only about money? Replied the Colonel. You have something much more valuable, the gift of healing, people and animals. And so began the planning for the transformation of Holy Hope Ranch. Jacob would bring modern veterinary knowledge, the Colonel would contribute experience and resources, and Tyler would be responsible for the special care of the recovery animals. Let's start slowly, said Jacob. First, improve the treatment of the animals we already have. Then, we can accept animals from other properties for recovery. And later, added Tyler, maybe we can start a program to teach underprivileged children how to care for animals. Like what you used to do in Austin, asked Sarah. How do you know about that? Asked Jacob, surprised. Tyler told us that you helped in a social project. It was a small thing. I taught kids from the outskirts how to care for therapy horses. Then you already have experience, said the Colonel. We can do something similar here. The plans took shape throughout the night. There would be renovations to the corrals, new veterinary equipment, a training program for staff, and partnerships with other ranches in the area. And the project's name? Asked Mrs. Grace. How about Thunder Project? Suggested Tyler. In honor of the horse that taught us every living being deserves a second chance. Perfect, agreed Jacob. Approved, said the Colonel. When the night came to an end, Tyler said goodbye to the family with his heart overflowing with joy. He was walking down the road leading to his house when he heard footsteps behind him. It was Jacob. Tyler, wait up. Hi, Jacob. Did you forget something? I wanted to talk to you in private. About what? About my father. Has he changed much since I left? Tyler thought before answering. I think he's always been the same good person deep down. He was just lost in his own pain. What do you mean? Jacob, your father suffered a lot when you left, but being proud, he channeled that pain into irritation with everything and everyone, especially with me because I reminded him of you. I imagined that. That's why it was so brave of you to try to reconcile us. It wasn't bravery. It was necessity. I couldn't stand seeing so many people suffering because of pride. And now? Do you think he's really changed? I think he remembered who he always was. A good man who just needed a reason to smile again. Jacob nodded, thoughtful. Tyler, I want you to know that I feel responsible for you now, like an older brother. You don't have to feel that way. Yes, I do. You gave me back my family. From today on, your family is us too. That night, Tyler arrived home and told everything to his mother. Mrs. Linda listened with tears of pride in her eyes. My son, your grandfather William, would be very proud of you. Why, Mom? Because he always said that a person's greatest gift is being able to see light where others only see darkness. And is that what I did? That's exactly it. You saw a family where others only saw people fighting. You saw a healthy horse where others saw a sick animal. You saw possibilities where others only saw problems. Do you think everything really worked out? I'm sure of it. And do you know why? Because it was done with love. And everything done with love works out. In the following days, Holy Hope Ranch was bustling with preparations for the Thunder Project. Jacob was temporarily back, organizing the technical aspects of the venture. Colonel Benjamin had regained his enthusiasm for business, now with a greater purpose than just making money. Tyler divided his time between studying for college entrance exams and working on the ranch. His life had completely changed in a matter of weeks. "Tyler," called Jacob one Thursday morning, "I need to talk to you." "About what?" "About your future. I've been talking with some professors at the university where I study. They became interested in your case." "What do you mean, interested?" "In your practical knowledge. There's a research program on traditional veterinary medicine. Your grandfather's recipes could be scientifically important." "Really?" "Very seriously. They want to document the techniques you use and test their effectiveness in the lab." "And would that be good?" "It would be excellent, for you and for preserving this ancient knowledge." Tyler could hardly believe his life was taking on such grand dimensions. "Jacob, sometimes I'm afraid this is all a dream and I'll wake up." "It's not a dream, Tyler. It's the result of your kindness and determination, and also your courage to come back home. Our courage. You gave me strength to face my fears. That afternoon, an unexpected surprise arrived at the ranch. Dr. Edward appeared accompanied by 2 university professors who came to see Tyler's work. "Tyler," said Dr. Edward, "these are Professor Mary Helen and Professor David Mitchell from the University of Texas at Austin." "Nice to meet you," greeted Tyler, intimidated. "The pleasure is ours," said Professor Mary Helen. "We would very much like to see the work you did with the horse." Tyler led the visitors to Thunder and explained in detail all the treatment performed. The professors asked technical questions and noted every piece of information in their notebooks. "Impressive," commented Professor David. "Traditional empirical knowledge combined with a natural sensitivity for handling animals." "Tyler," said Professor Mary Helen, "we'd like to propose a partnership." "What kind of partnership?" "You would document all the recipes and techniques you know. We would conduct the scientific tests, and you would receive a full scholarship to our university." "And could I continue caring for the animals here?" "Of course. In fact, the ranch would become an animal welfare research laboratory." Jacob smiled proudly. "Do you accept, Tyler?" "I accept, of course, but with one condition." "What is it?" "That any knowledge resulting from this research is always shared freely with small rural producers." The professors exchanged glances, impressed by the young man's maturity. "We fully agree," said Professor Mary Helen. When the visitors left, Colonel Benjamin called Tyler for a private conversation. "Son, do you realize the magnitude of what's happening?" "I realize my life has changed a lot, Mr. Benjamin. Changed for the better. And do you know why? Because you had the courage to act when others just watched." "I only did what I thought was right." "Exactly. And that's what changed everything." The colonel remained silent for a few moments. "Tyler, I want to make a proposal." "What proposal?" "I want to officially adopt you as my son. You, Jacob, and Sarah would be equal heirs to the ranch." Tyler was speechless. "Mr. Benjamin, I don't know what to say." "Say you accept. You're part of this family now." "But I have a mother." "And she would be welcome here too. There's room in the big house for everyone." "I need to talk to her first." "Of course, but know that this isn't an offer out of pity or gratitude. It's because I see in you the son I always wanted by my side on the ranch." "Even with Jacob back?" "Jacob has his own dreams. You have the same dreams as me, to see this land prosperous and full of life." That night, Tyler talked at length with Mrs. Linda about the colonel's proposal. "Mom, what do you think?" "I think it's the recognition you deserve, son." but would you be okay living there? I'd be happy anywhere you're happy. So do you accept? Yes, I accept, but with one condition too. What is it? That we remain simple, humble, and always remember where we came from. I promise, Mom. The following weekend, there was a party at Holy Hope Ranch to celebrate not only Jacob's return, but also the birth of the Thunder Project and the new configuration of the Harris family. All the ranch employees were present, friends from the area, Dr. Edward, the university professors, and even Frank, the friend who had helped with the contact with Jacob. "Friends," said Colonel Benjamin, standing up to make a speech, "today we celebrate much more than a project. We celebrate the proof that it's never too late to start over, never too late to ask for forgiveness, and never too late to extend a hand to those in need." Applause echoed through the ranch courtyard. "This young man," he continued, pointing to Tyler, "taught us that true wealth isn't in what we accumulate, but in the good we do for others. And this other young man," he said, looking at Jacob, "taught me that a stubborn father can learn to be humble when he rediscovers the love of a son. Therefore, I officially declare the Thunder Project inaugurated, which will transform our ranch into a model of care and love for animals." The party lasted into the night, with country music, plenty of food, and lots of joy. Tyler watched everything with a feeling of fulfillment he had never experienced before. "What are you thinking about?" asked Jacob, approaching. "And how it all started with a horse everyone thought was lost, and ended with an entire family being saved. It hasn't ended, Jacob. It's only just beginning." "You're right, the best is yet to come." At that moment, Thunder appeared trotting across the yard, healthy, strong, and beautiful. He stopped in front of Tyler and Jacob, as if wanting to join the conversation. "Hey, buddy," said Tyler, stroking the animal's neck. "How's the party going?" Thunder whinnied softly, as if approving everything he saw. "You know what I find most beautiful in all of this?" said Jacob. "What?" "How a simple act of kindness can transform so many lives. It wasn't just kindness, it was persistence too. And faith. Faith that things could get better. And they can always get better, Jacob. Always." The two young men stood there in silence, watching the party and thinking about the future. Ahead of them lay the building of an ambitious project, studies to complete, dreams to fulfill. "Tyler," Jacob said after a while. "Yeah. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for having the courage to come back home. Do you think it all really worked out?" Tyler looked around. He saw Colonel Benjamin chatting animatedly with the guests, Mrs. Grace radiant with happiness, Sarah organizing activities for the children present, Mrs. Linda being treated like a queen by her new family, and at the center of it all, Thunder grazing peacefully, a living symbol that love always finds a way to prevail. It all worked out, Jacob, and it will keep working out. End of story. Now tell me, dear listener, what did you think of this story of overcoming and second chances? Do you believe small gestures of kindness can truly transform entire lives? Have you ever experienced a situation where persistence and love managed to overcome pride and hurt? Share your honest opinion in the comments. I'd love to know where you're following us from and your thoughts on this emotional journey of Tyler, Jacob, and the entire Harris family. Don't forget to leave your like if the story touched your heart. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other narratives that celebrate the power of good and the human capacity to start over.